Ed, my name's Jonna Wall. I've been in banking going on about 12 years, and with almost 9 of those being with Pinnacle. Currently, I'm an ALCO reporting analyst. However, I've spent many of my years at Pinnacle in more of an operational finance accounting role. I currently serve as our art system admin and have been a key role in onboarding art. Currently, we have about 2,700 accounts being pushed into art. About 1,700 of those are system reconciled. About 1,000 of those are actually reconciled in the system. Prior to art, our recon process was very manual. Recons were performed in Excel. They were printed along with all the support and then submitted for review. Once the review was complete, each recon was signed, given back to the preparer to scan, and both electronically and for storage. So once those recons were fully through the cycle, someone else went through and made sure all the recons were counted for on the balance sheet and had all the necessary signatures to be checked off. So lots of paper, lots of time, what I like to call lots of inefficiency, but it was all necessary inefficiency, just due to the nature of the world we work in. By January of 2017, we announced another merger with the Bank of North Carolina, and that took us to a 4-state footprint overnight. With all of that came a large balance sheet growth, both dollars and just the sheer number of accounts that were brought over. And like I said earlier, at that point, we were reconciling in Excel and printing, signing, recon support docs, all of that. So, we were still experiencing that frustration with, just the sheer balance sheet growth. The core operational accounting department didn't grow. And so a lot of that time was spent just doing recons all the time and said, hey, let's look at this art product. Let us see if it's something we need, we want, will it work for us? Because ultimately we had decided, hey, we're just looking for something, or testing the platform and making sure we had all the key pieces aligned with the reporting we need in our highly regulated world and what our auditors like to see, and making sure that we can get everything we need out of this without having to add other manual work, which we were trying to get rid of. So we got that implemented, and our team, we had a great adoption rate over the firm. Our people in our operational accounting department doing those recons. I mean, you don't want to sit and do a recon all day long. And they wanted to grow in other areas of finance. So by us taking on this tool, it allowed for people that their job was in the operational accounting, or that their main job was just doing recons. It allowed for them to expand more in the other areas of the financial department roles. So our people don't only do recons all day; they do other regulatory reporting and other internal reporting. So it was a big step for us. Currently, we have several different auditors. We have an internal audit department. We have Craft and Crow that audit part of our financials. So so they've all been very impressed with ours thus far. We're able to essentially download all of our reconciliations each month, put it on a network drive in a zip file that they have access to, and they can kind of get the data as needed. And most of our finance department, at least in the leadership roles, have come from audit backgrounds. And so prior to art, all of those processes were very fine-tuned and in line, but art has just enhanced that from a time efficiency and just the communication. Just because our CFO, who signed off on it, and our CIO, they've been knee-deep in the accounting world. They've been knee-deep in reconciliations in the past. They know what it takes to close. They know what it takes for all the recon process. And so they knew the amount of work that was going into the entire process of scanning, filing, reviewing, all of this on a regular basis. And so we have professionals in the environment that have been here, So they do want to grow. They do want to be part of more than just doing busy, I'll quote, busy work all day in some basic reconciliations. And so the buy-in of the growth opportunity for associates and just the time saver from the accounting operation side to allow more time for regulatory reporting, easier time to start regulatory reporting on a quarterly basis. So people weren't so wrapped up in doing reconciliations. You know, we were able to start our call report day 3 instead of making sure everything was done and then starting our call report day 7. And so there was so much time saving to gain, and then doubling overnight. The buy-in wasn't hard. And the fact that it was kind of a self-contained, self-sufficient unit, and there didn't have to be a big project list for IT, that made it more attractive as well. So in 2018, in June of 2018, we met with the SkyStem group and decided to extend the contract to take over at Pinnacle. By the end of July, we were in training, and I believe we had 2 weeks of training in regards to through SkyStem. It was wonderful, very, they provide you all the guides, they provide you all the, it's very easy to walk through, it's very easy to understand. I like to think, I could stick my 12-year-old daughter in here and she could figure out how to submit a recon. So a lot of our employees had been here 10, 15, some 20 years. And so you have a lot of that, well, I've done it this way all the time, or for a while, it works, why are we changing? And so to be able to show them how to, hey, this support that I was printing out for 7 different accounts, I can now combine all these into one account, into one of those net accounts. I'm attaching this document once, and wow, that's the end of it. Instead of having to do all those same things for 7 different accounts. I was going to be able to pull a report at the end of the month and, push it up against all of our balance sheet and make sure our earnings match back to what Art says that we have in the system. And so our auditors really like being able to see that, hey, this really long checklist that you had of accounts that you bumped the balance sheet up to in Excel prior to Art is now, I just pull down a report of all of our accounts, run a pivot table, and push it up against our corporate financials. And, they're happy, and they consider that, we call it our completeness check. So we were able to, implement that and test it, fully test it, and make sure all of our regulatory needs were handled from that perspective, and then went live in January of 2019. This system was going to work for us, and it was going to take care of all of our regulatory needs. There wasn't going to be any gaps. Ongoing support, I can email SkyStem, and I usually get an answer within 15 minutes, and then help. They're on top of any help that I might need. Sometimes I ask the same question 4 times because it's working differently, but we always figure it out. And then we've learned along the way new things we can do, new reports we can use to do different things. So it's been great. Right off the top, we satisfied our regulatory needs, but throughout our adoption up until now, we've really been able to push the system to do everything we need it and more.